Hi guys, hope you're really well. Stephen here at the Care Social Network. Just a quick one. I'm working with 4 residential and nursing homes in the south of England, and they are absolutely smashing it. Now, their bottlenecks before this were they have a lot of sponsorship workers, and they say they're absolutely smashing it and they're fantastic people, but the company just doesn't feel safe with what's going on with the government, and they're not sure if they're going to be able to keep the sponsored workers. And what's happened is the care homes have become about 40% sponsored workers, 60% non-sponsored workers, and if something was to go wrong, e.g. they have to get rid of the sponsored workers overnight, that is going to cause a huge bottleneck and a huge problem internally. So I've been working with them for 3 months now. What's happened is ultimately they haven't had to rely on using advertising and haven't had to rely on doing interviews because they've used sponsored workers, so it's not been a problem. Now, what happened at the start was the registered managers didn't like the fact that it was outsourced to somebody, to me, to arrange interviews on their behalf, because they're just not used to that, and they've been registered managers for 30 years and they're sort of set in their ways and they've done things their own way for 30 years. The idea of outsourcing it is a bit intimidating for them. Now, how did I tackle this? Well, 1, I'm an ex-carer, 2, I'm an ex-HR manager, 3, I've done this for 10 years, so I know how to do care recruitment better than anybody, I would say. So I had to build their trust. They had to learn about me. They had to understand I know care inside out. And more importantly, that my whole goal for them is to find them suitable, kind, compassionate, hardworking people for their business. And I'm not just going to arrange interview with anybody. So the candidates can meet the criteria, they can work the hours, they've got the right values, they live locally. When you get to the bottom of the bottlenecks that have caused you problems in the past, so they're one of their biggest bottlenecks, as well as this, was they didn't know where to advertise. I know where to advertise stuff for them to be successful. It's a mixture of job boards, social media, and SEO. Now, what's happened in the last 3 months is there's 6 care homes, not 4, 6 care homes, and they've all hired at least 5 people per month for 3 months running. So each care home has hired 5 people per month for 3 months. So 15 staff they've hired and onboarded for the last 3 months. This is unprecedented. This has never happened for them before. The reason it's happening is because there is an influx of candidates applying. I'm arranging the interviews on their behalf. But the biggest reason this is working, in my opinion, is interview availability. Because what happens is, I'm speaking to people and getting loads of good people to have an interview. Then what tends to happen is, if registered managers don't give interview availability, you're going back and forth. This happens with thousands of care companies. So you're talking to the candidate, hi, I just need to check now when my manager's available to do an interview. Then you have to go back to the manager, see when they're free. The manager then asks for the CV for some reason. Then you've got to check if they're available. Then they give you next week. Then you've got to go back to the candidate. Are you free next week? No, I'm not. I'm on holiday. I told you that. Okay. So it's just a back and forth. It's a big challenge. You're going back and forth. And rather than me just saying, yeah, you're fantastic, please can you come in for an interview at 9 o'clock tomorrow, 10 o'clock tomorrow? If you don't have interview availability, it slows down everything. You waste money. You create a blame culture, demotivation of staff, agency use, wasted budget, the list goes on. So the big question I want to tell care companies now, or the big thing I want to pass on, is are you giving, or are you providing interview availability for candidates prior to speaking to them? If you're not, why are you not? And if you're not, then you are going to fail, unfortunately, because when you have the interview availability, you speed up everything. You're showing the candidate that you want to book them in for an interview. You're preventing any other care company from getting to these candidates. If a candidate speaks to another care company and the care company says, yep, can you come tomorrow at 9 o'clock? And you've said, I need to check with my manager and then come back to them, then they're going to join that care company, aren't they? Because that care company's met them first. So yeah, interview availability from registered managers is an absolute game changer. So if you're a care company owner, or you're an operations manager or a director, or maybe even a registered manager, go to your care teams and ask them now, do we actually have interview availability? Is there enough availability? Are we making it easy for candidates to have an interview with us? Go and check that process and see if it's working, because I'm telling you, if it's not, you need to fix it. I hope this helps, and please reach out if you have any questions. All right, take care. Bye.